Hello out there and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, my pronouns are she, her, and I am joined today by...
Hello, my name is Suzana, my pronouns are also she, her.
And also
Martha, my pronouns are also she, her.
We want to discuss today our opinion on if the metal scene is united or if we just think we are. Because we just had this episode a couple of weeks ago about if the metal scene is diverse. And I think this is another thing that is kind of connected to that topic. So I'm, of course, very interested in what you think about that. And before we can discuss that, I think we have to define what the metal scene actually is. I would say the metal scene is a global thing. So when you're a metalhead in Portugal, you can connect with metalheads in Ecuador, you can connect with metalheads in Japan and everything. The harder question, I guess, is how do you define metal with the subgenres? Is metalcore a metal subgenre? I would say yes, but I think that's the first pain point in this discussion. What do you think? How would you define the metal scene? Is there the metal scene?
So if I try to think about, is there a metal scene and is it united in any way, I would try to find other similar constructs in the world. Personally, when I walk around outside and I see a person in a metal shirt, just some band logo, maybe I know the band, I feel like these people are probably okay. I know they're probably not going to hurt me. They're not going to be mean to me. I don't know. We're probably not going to talk. We're not going to talk about our band shirts and high five each other or whatever. But so there's a sort of connection, but it's just that visibly having a connection with someone. I don't know, maybe all religions in the world, they are connected in a way. I don't know, if you're Christian and you meet an obvious other Christian, okay, I can probably trust that person because we have something in common. So I think there's this trust component. I trust other people who listen to metal, and it doesn't matter if they're old, if they're young, this. There's a unifying thing about it. So I think we do have that, but inside the metal scene, I get offended when people my friend, she gifted me a tea and it says heavy metal tea. And then when you put the tea bag into water, it turns blackish or something. The tea tastes horrible. She was thinking of me and she got me this tea. And it has even a little black on the box. It looks awful. And I was I don't technically listen to heavy metal. That's for old people. As soon as you enter this metal cosmos, it gets very divided, on very small things. This is not exactly the genre I like, or I don't know, you were not wearing these type of Vans, you're wearing some kind of boots. I don't know, it gets really silly, I think.
I agree with what Martha was saying, because essentially it's to the point of our topic here that the metal community is it's united in the sense that, yes, if you see someone wearing a t-shirt of a band that you like and you feel that instant connection, and it has this feeling of if someone likes the same band that I like or the same kind of music that I like, maybe we think alike about other topics as well. Maybe our lifestyles are similar, or maybe we have the same ideas about politics, for example. So it feels like it's united, like us against the world kind of thing. So we are the outcasts, and we are united within ourselves. But it is true that once you're inside, first of all, there is still a lot of gatekeeping. So I think stepping inside is hard in itself, maybe harder if you're a girl. But once you're inside, kind of, there is still a lot of divide inside the metal community. The subgenre thing is just stupid. The kind of clothes that you wear. I got a lot of how heavy is the music that you listen to. So I remember, oh my God, that was like 20 years ago. But I remember talking about a band, and this guy said, yeah, but this is like a too high. It was like a power metal band. It was my favorite at the time. I think power metal was my gateway drug into metal. At first, I was listening to a lot of power metal and symphonic metal. So I would mention a power metal band, and I would get like, no, this is kids' music. Or even a guy said, but it's girl music. And I was like, oh, I'm a girl. I can listen to whatever you want. If you're a boy and you can't listen to that, that's your problem, dude. But there is a lot of this, still this kind of gatekeepy attitude that maybe you're not a true metalhead if you don't listen to whatever band. Or maybe you're cooler if you listen to heavier music. Or you're not even a metalhead if you only listen to whatever. So I think the tiny little divides within the metal community, yes, it's stupid and it still exists. But I was thinking about just listening to you talk, and I was remembering that 2 weeks ago I went to this concert, and we were after the concert we were outside of the venue just talking, and there were a lot of group of people just outside listening to music, drinking and talking, and I just met this group of people that I've never met before, but they were friends of a friend, and we were talking, and somehow the conversation went into politics. And one of the guys wanted to say something bad about our former president, and he kind of lowered his voice, and he was like, I don't like that, blah, blah, blah. And we were like, no, it's safe. You can say that. It's safe, because we were around other metalheads, but we were assuming, and we were even discussing that, like, why are we assuming that it's safe to have this specific political opinion because we are around metalheads? We are just assuming that other people feel the same way about us politically because we like the same kind of music. But that's the kind of sense of unity that I like about the metal community, that you do feel like you can have a certain political opinion, for example, because you are part of this community. But the tiny little divide inside, that's just boring and should just go.
Just a side note on what you just said. That's also something that scientists found out. I like both of you, and I like cats. And because of that, I think that you also like cats. So the thought was, I like metal, you're listening to metal as well, so we have the same political opinion, maybe. But also because it's connected to punk rock, I guess.
I think it's also scientifically shown that as human beings in general, we find it very easy to find connection with other people. The world is so crazy right now that I think we forgot, but our brains evolved to form connections with other people. That's what we are born to do. So if you see someone wearing a band t-shirt, you're like, this person is my best friend forever. We find it very easy to connect. But apparently we also find it very easy to connect with, like, I'm connected with Martha and Pia, but then this other person who listens to, I don't know, this other kind of music is also suddenly my enemy. We find it very easy also to create us versus them. So I don't know, maybe we should be more aware of that, to take advantage of the fact that we form connections very easily, but also aware that it's not the fact that because we are together here that necessarily someone else is automatically our enemy, because that's also apparently very easy for our brain to do.
Back then, when I started listening to metal, there was this hip hop against metal kids thing. So you were united against the enemy that was called hip hop back then. The good thing is today the borders, quote unquote, of the music genres are not so strict anymore, so that you can have these hip hop elements in metal music and the other way around. And there are more and more artists also working together, which is a good thing in my opinion, because I like when these worlds, these opposites, you might say, collide in a way. Or it felt when I was a kid that hip hop is the enemy and the opposite of metal.
We have this enemy here as well. At least when I was a teenager, that if you listen to rock or metal, you can't listen to this other thing, but it's a specific Brazilian thing. Do you have that in Germany as well? That idea that the enemy of rock and metal is country music. That the worst that you can do as a metalhead is listen to country music.
Not really. I think country music isn't a big thing over here, but Schlager would be.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, okay. Because it's more like a traditional German song music.
Yeah, the worst thing you can listen to, like even worse than hip hop, is Schlager, because it's like also very, very simple music, and it's not very demanding. Like, I don't know.
Maybe we can link to a Schlager song in the show notes here.
I am definitely curious now. I am. Don't tell anyone, but I am going to check it out. Definitely. Very curious now.
Maybe we can show you the Electric Callboy Schlager song, which turns into metal. So it's like, it's not so bad.
It's a cool transition. Okay, cool. I'll check that out.
There is a story about Kiki and her husband. The funny thing is they met at a Schlager party. And if I remember correctly, he is not listening to metal, and she took him to a concert or a festival or whatever. And he had conversations with other people there about, for what band are you here? Which band do you want to see on stage? And he said, well, I don't know many, but I'm here to see Epica. And they were like, oh. And he was talking to her after that and said, the band that you're listening to is not very a band that you should listen to if you want a high reward or something. So he found out very quickly that listening to Epica is not cool in the metal scene.
Yeah, but I also think that to go back to what we were talking before, maybe there's also the ranking of male and female. Maybe if you're listening to female singers that sing operatic vocals or clean vocals, then you're not as metal, and you should listen to guys that growl, and that's what the real metal is. So I think the ranking is also mixed with some sexism in the mix. So not great at all.
And the harder, the better. The harsher the vocals.
And I'm a huge fan of death metal. I listen to a lot of melodic death metal, so maybe I'm not that cool. But I'm a big fan. Nope.
You're not cool. No?
But I'm a big fan. I have no problem. I'm actually not listening to anything kind of in between. I'm either listening to barely metal bands and death metal bands. So kind of not in between. But yeah, I think the divide between subgenres that's just crazy. And I think one of the gatekeeping things that keep happening is, like you mentioned, Pia, that when metal bands mix other genres, that's like the biggest thing that you can do. And you all of a sudden you fall in the ranks of, like, maybe you're up high, but then you invite like a hip hop musician, and then all of a sudden you're not cool anymore, or even a woman, or the genre police has to go.
The genre police is coming. But I think that sums it up very, very good, that when you listen to a specific kind of music, you're not allowed to like stuff that is not as heavy. Or if you like power metal, you're not allowed to listen to metalcore. If you like death metal, you're not allowed to listen to power metal. And if you like black metal, I don't know if you're allowed to do anything else listening to black metal, which is, of course, completely stupid. And my impression is that this borders within the metal scene, that they go lower a bit, because maybe the old metalheads who are listening to power metal, they have kids now who like metalcore, and they found out about through that, oh, it's not that bad, or, well, when my children listen to that, I cannot go out there and say this is shitty music or something like that. So I have the impression that it gets better, that of course you still have this this gatekeeping thing, like, well, this is the real metal, and other subgenres are not the real thing. But yeah, as I said, I see also festival lineups mixing up more and more. And we have a metalcore online magazine here in Germany, and they also have news about Blind Guardian, a very famous true metal, power metal band. And sometimes they have news that make me think, wow, I didn't expect people who like metalcore also are interested in stuff about that band. So things are mixing up a bit, is at least my impression.
Yeah, do you think there is also a age divide within the metal community, that the older metalheads have like more of a gatekeeping attitude, and maybe there is this dispute about what young kids are listening to now, and if the young kids are listening to true metal, or like if you are a teenager and you're getting into metal now, then you have to go through, the four big ones before you call yourself a metalhead. I feel sometimes that there is this age divide thing. I feel like I'm in between, because I'm not a teenager but anymore, but I'm not in my 50s yet. So I feel like I can see a little bit of, both the older metalhead attitude and the young kids. How do you feel about the age thing?
I think there are like open people and not open people. So, and I don't know, like some people like open up with age, but I think that's it. Like I think the really extreme, I'm just listening to thrash metal people. I don't know. They were like that when they started listening to metal, and they never listened to anything else, and that's their whole life and their whole identity, and that's their thing, and that's okay. But yeah, and other people, I don't know, like they started with punk, then they listened to emo, then they got into metal, then they tried out all the genres and figured out what they liked, and they're excited about new things, and yeah, they continue that throughout their whole lives. So
did you feel any gatekeeping when you started listening to metal as a younger kid? Like, is anyone older than you kind of try to dictate what you should or shouldn't listen to?
I think I get caped others. I started with power metal. I listened to Nightwish, and then Stratovarius, Sonata Arctica, and then the Finnish melodic death metal bands. So I listened to a lot of Finnish bands in the beginning. I don't know why. It just happened. And my peer group, many of them were listening to Slipknot, for example, or Korn. So the new metal stuff. And for me, I wasn't able, or I didn't understand this, or there was a gap, an image gap, that you have these masks and everything, and they wanted to be so scary, but their music was not as hard as my music was. And so I was like, well, you're listening to this, but I listen to the real shit. As a kid. Now I'm older and wiser, and I don't do that anymore. And I also listen to some new metal bands, and also think that the people who are older now, so my age might be the middle-aged metalheads right now, they grew up with new metal as well. And I think they are more open-minded to collaborations, maybe also because of the new metal stuff that they were listening to or still listen to nowadays.
I thought about it, but I think I agree. So I don't know. I think I was a little, like a tiny little bit before the new metal hype. So I also listened to that, but that was it. But like many of the people I know, they also listened to hip hop, so they were not that into the metal scene. So they also like the new metal things, but they also listen to other things. So yeah, I think that makes sense.
Do you feel any gatekeeping, Martha, as a musician now? Do you feel like there is like subgenre gatekeeping or age thing now that you are working in the metal community as a musician?
I at least don't feel it that much. It was worse actually. So like when we started out, and I don't know, like all the comments I got. I mean, like still to this day I do get a lot of comments. Like even if people see me on stage and like, "Oh my god, there's a woman bassist." I don't know, things like people standing in the crowd looking at me like, "Huh, like I've never seen that in my." So that's like the weirdest thing, and like sexist things or people hitting on me or something. But yeah, so I formed so many habits for that. Like I always used to have my boyfriend with me, like I don't know, at times just like I don't know, pushing him before me and like walking behind him, shielding me, or like every guy knowing that like this is my boyfriend, he's here with me. Like today I wouldn't do that anymore, but that was like my initial habit, just to like I don't know, avoid commotion or something. So I used to do that, but like in this like grassroots metal scene newcomers, like all the yeah, many of the venues and not the band, like the actual venues or the people booking the bands, they were more excited that there was a woman. Like it's like something special, but like also our singer is a ginger. That's also like a special. It's also like a special thing. It's like, oh my god, he has this voluminous red hair. Oh, that looks nice on stage. Like, wow, he has this huge beard. It's like, yeah,
Gingers listen to metal? Are they allowed to?
there are many gingers in metal.
Yes. I also think that it changes because of the streaming platforms as well, not necessarily Spotify, but also SoundCloud, where it's so easy to put on your own music. And now with the stuff that you can do with artificial intelligence, it'll change even more because it's easier to share your creativity with others in music. And so this borders between the genres will disappear more and more because people just do things they like and they can make it available for others to listen to it. And the more people you can reach, the more people will like it. So I think when we talk about this in 5 or 10 years, then it'll be many, many steps further in that they're not specific subgenres fighting each other or something like that.
No, yeah, I think it's not going to be possible for gatekeepers to just, I don't know, keep their pure music in a box locked somewhere. It's just not going to happen. Yeah, it's just not going to be possible anymore. Yeah, like you said, the world is connected. Someone from, I don't know, Thailand can sample a song and you mix it with traditional music from their country, and there is absolutely nothing you can do or should do. Also, I think it's important to mention that sometimes gatekeepers forget is that whatever it is that you like, and even if you think that the thing you like is the number one best thing in the world and everything else sucks, you can still listen to the one thing that you love. New things happening do not destroy the things that you already have and love. So if you only like
Yes.
the classics, if you're one of those people that think that the only great music ever done was recorded in the 80s, it's recorded in history. It's there. We are not erasing anything. You know, if a new band comes along and mix metal with hip hop and you hate it, which you can hate if you want, no problem. That's your opinion. But your metal without hip hop still exists. The new thing is not erasing the past. So I think it's impossible to keep it the way some people seem to want to keep it. But also not even necessary, because if you want your metal to not mix with anything, you can just listen to the stuff that was already done that way, and yeah, no problem. It's still there.
I see more and more musicians in thrash metal, for example, that are younger. So there is a small new wave of thrash metal nowadays, at least here in Germany. So things are also coming back, and the more you transform things and you modernize things, the more people will also focus on the traditional side and create something in the that sounds like the big thrash metal bands, for example.
Whatever was done in the past, even like the Big Four and the original thrash metal, it was cool and it was interesting and it was fun. So it is not going to die because other people are doing other things. And yes, sometimes you do have this wave of just going back to the quote unquote classics.
So yeah, my conclusion of the question, are metalheads united, would be, I think in the end we are. And also there is a lot of fun in saying, well, your music is not the real stuff, because I'm the only one who can say what the real shit is that you should listen to. My music taste is so much better than yours. There's also something fun to do, especially with friends or also with other people in your group, which is the group of metalheads, people who are wearing black band shirts out there. And if we don't take everything so serious, we are united. But you will always have the people who say this is not real metal or whatever. But in the end, I would say if you yourself define your music as metal and you define yourself as a metalhead, then you are a metalhead and you're more than allowed to be part of the scene. And I think when we look at the scene itself compared to other scenes, other genres, other whatever you want, then this scene is in the end there for you and protects you or whatever you need. So I think we are. In the end, we are united.
I agree with you, and I think it even makes me sad sometimes to discuss certain things like, oh, maybe we have to talk about the elements that makes us not united. I even feel sad. I'm like, oh no, let's not talk about that, because I want to believe that we are united. I want this community to exist and to be strong. But I agree with you that for most part, yes, we are. And I think it's kind of a mindset kind of thing that if you remember why you became a metalhead in the first place, what it is that you value in this community in the first place, then it helps you keeping an open mind about the things that are happening within the metal community. Mm-hmm. Because even if you don't like a certain kind of music, or even if you are not too happy with what the young kids are doing right now, but if you remember that maybe that's exactly what people told you when you were a kid and you were listening to that horrible music, and when you were 15 and you were dressing weird and you were trying to challenge the system and you're trying to be a rebel and you were trying to be you and you're trying to be to develop a personality. If you remember what you did when you were like 15, 14 and you started being the metalhead in the first place, and all those feelings and how you felt like the metal community was the place where you could be that person, like you could listen to weird music and you could be weird and dress differently and maybe think differently. And that's what made you a metalhead in the first place and made you feel welcome and safe. Then if you just keep that mindset, then you help make the community safer for the young kids and for the other minorities or the different people. That's the attitude that you have to keep, and that's what keeps the metal community united. I don't think it's even about the clothes and the music necessarily, the subgenre. It's more about this mindset. So if you stick to that, then we are united. We are united, and we are fine.
Since I listen to progressive metal, all your other metal genres are just very simple and not the right kind of metal.
True.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but I think everybody should really reevaluate if they see their metal subgenre like as a cage or not, because there's so much amazing music out there. Like, just try everything, and if you don't like it, it's okay, but just like go out and listen to everything.
Yes. That are beautiful last words for the topic, I think. And if you out there have another opinion or the same opinion, you can let us know. You can send us a message at Bleeding Metal Pod on Instagram. I think that's the channel that we use the most. You can also look for our our own social media profiles and write us a message if you want to. Follow the podcast on every podcast platform, on every streaming platform. And we would be happy to have you here again listening to the next episodes of the Bleeding Metal podcast. It was a nice conversation with you. Thank you for that. And thank you out there for listening. And goodbye.
Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.